Okay, good. So obviously there's never going to feel like enough time. How many of you at least got kind of some idea of how you're going to shape your story? Yeah, Vida, Jay, yeah, good, great, lovely. Okay, there's always going to be more time. How many of you found it a bit more helpful to have another human to kind of ask questions and support and encourage you a little bit, like especially when they go, "Whoa, that's really fascinating! Oh my god, like." Tell me more. How did you do that? And suddenly you realize, okay, I didn't think this was a big deal, but this is nice to have somebody supportive and encouraging and believing in me. It is such an amazing thing. So when you're living your own story, you don't wake up in the morning and go, God, I'm inspirational. I mean, what I did just there, oh, well done me. We don't think like that. Most of us don't. I hope most of us don't think like that. And yet, when somebody else says, have you got any inspirational stories? Not really. Or have you got any stories where you were just like really up the creek without a paddle and then had to figure something out? Oh yeah, got a ton of those. Great. Okay, start talking. So often it needs somebody else's perspective to kind of go, well, I think that's pretty cool, actually. That really helps me when you say that. It's very hard to do that by ourselves. The very nature of you is often very humble, and you're not walking around thinking, I should probably inspire some people with that stuff today because that was incredible. Yeah. So if you're not that, you need some help. So please do encourage everyone when you're giving feedback and when you're in breakout rooms. It is so lovely to have people kind of give you some encouragement and some positive suggestions. All right. What I want to do just before we go on breaks, I want to show you a fantastic example. Literally I think social media is one of those, everything has to be so concise on social media that I think when you get something right, you could see it done really well in a really quick amount of time. And I just want to share with you this lovely video that I saw this morning that I thought really encapsulated how you could tell a whole story as your whole kind of presentation and include a call to action in it, and include some science in there as well, in a really, really short presentation. So those of you that are thinking, God, 7 minutes, how am I going to get it into 7 minutes? I just want to show you how it can be done to give you some ideas, all right?
2 years ago, I was invited on the Kelly Clarkson show to talk about racism in medicine. At the time, I was still a medical student during the COVID pandemic, so I started posting videos online about race in medicine whenever I learned something in class that didn't quite sit well with me. One of those things was an equation called the GFR equation. GFR stands for glomerular filtration rate. It's essentially a function of how well your kidneys work. If your GFR is high, that means your kidneys are doing well. If your GFR is low, that means they're not doing so good. That number can often determine if you see a kidney specialist, if you get diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, and if you get a kidney transplant. But for decades, there were actually two versions of that equation, one for Black patients and one for everyone else. The reasoning was that Black patients were assumed to have higher muscle mass, and that would affect a lab value called creatinine. So a race-based multiplier was added. That meant even if everything else was equal, if one patient was Black and one patient was non-Black, the Black patient would automatically be assumed to have better kidney functioning just because of their race. And that had real consequences because it could delay care, delay referrals, and even cause patients to not get kidney transplants. So I'm sitting there explaining this to the Kelly Clarkson, and I'm already nervous. But then something incredible happens. They brought on someone whose life had been directly impacted by a video I made talking about the GFR equation years ago. Because of a video I made, a family was able to look up the GFR equation, take it to their doctor was able to look into it, realize it was true, and that patient got moved up 5 years on the kidney transplant list. Anise was who they brought on stage, and she was actually the sister of the person who received the kidney transplant. But the reason why she was there, and not her sister, was because her sister had just received a kidney. It was one of those moments that made absolutely everything feel real. And there's a letter that Anise and her sister wrote that I actually still keep with me and is on my wall. Thankfully now, the GFR equation no longer includes race as of 2021. And in 2023, Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network said that anyone that's had the race-based equation used can retrospectively have their kidney wait times adjusted. And a study that came out in March 2026 is showing that over 21,000 Black Americans had their wait times adjusted because of this change. These are the types of stories that I'll always continue to share. And if this is your first time here, make sure to drop a follow, share, and remember to speak up and speak out, because you never know whose life is on the other side of your voice. Almost exactly.
Yeah, you see, can anybody spot all the elements in there, like the moment of truth? That's what I realized. Yeah. The starts with a story. So I'm sitting there explaining this to the real, me, Kelly Clarkson, and then he drops into the what, gives you some of the what is the GFR equation, gives you some science, how it's calculated, and then he goes back to the story. So this happened, and then this happened, and now, as a result, this has happened. What was his call to action? Do you remember? He had two.
Speak up, speak out.
Yeah, so nice. It's like a really nice little thing right at the end, so you remember it. What was his other call to action?
Share. If you've been diagnosed in the past, go and get it done again.
So that was implicit, right? That was absolutely, yeah, this could happen. Yeah, he actually just said, follow me. Just real simple, but he said, follow me. If this is your first time and you like this sort of thing, drop me a follow. And remember to speak up, speak out. So that is an example of how elegant all of this can be, even when you're not kind of sitting there kind of going, okay, the why section, the what section is next. He hasn't sort of broken it down like a presentation and said, right, okay, this is the first point I want to make, and then we make it. He's just wrapped it up in a little story in like a minute's time. Really amazing. I will be dropping anything that I find that is such a great example. I will drop into the Facebook group as like a link so that you guys can keep seeing it. And the more you see it, the more it will reassure you that, oh yeah, okay, I can see it now. I can see how this is working. So if you can make Speaker Club, it's free. It starts 7th of May. It's the first third Thursday of the month. And each session, we take a couple of things and we practice them. So it's not overwhelming. It's just little things that we take and practice and really kind of get them in the muscle. And as soon as something is in the muscle, those of you that kind of learn new skills all the time, once it's in the muscle, you don't have to think about it anymore. It just becomes how you do it. And then it's not overwhelming anymore. So that's why I've created this process, so that all the kind of overwhelming amount of stuff that we've covered this weekend, you can start building actual long-term memory of it in the muscle. So over lunchtime, I would love you to think about how you're going to, like the first sentence that you're going to open with and the very last thing that you're going to finish with, and work back from the finish. So the finish could be something along the lines of, then we'll go to lunch. So for most people, for most presentations, kind of, normal presentations, it'll be what we covered, to summarize what I've said today. In conclusion, what is the conclusion from today, and remind you of the call to action. Yeah. I think you can finish it however you like. We know that to help people memorize things and remember what you've said, the summary is useful to remind them. You can also end with the story. So if you started with a story, you can tell the story at the end. So you can actually finish the story at the end because it contains your call to action, or because it contains a moral of the story, or a thing that you want them to take away. He kind of did that on the reel with, so if this is the kind of thing, remember to, speak out, and he related it to his story. I love ending on a quote, because if it's a quote that people maybe have heard or heard somewhere before, it's easier for them to kind of remember it, and then they associate it with everything that you've covered, so you get that linked association a little bit into memory. A solution to a problem, obviously that's fine, that's kind of what your call to action is. You probably don't want to say the moral of the story is, but essentially you are saying the moral of the story is, and that's why I encourage you to do X, Y, and Z, or the answer to a question that you posed at the beginning. Something like that. And of course, you must always finish with thank you. It is the universally accepted term for I have finished. That's how we know. And what I see in presentations is you've done such a great job on the middle bit and the beginning bit and even the end bit, and then people fall off the edge. So they've built it up and they go, great, and that's it. And they say, and that's it. And all you have to do is build it up, finish, thank you very much. That's it. That's the full stop. It's the it's universal sign of I'm finished, you may now applause thunderously. If you wanted to get an applause, there are ways to sort of encourage an audience to applause. This is just for giggles, by the way. This isn't something that I necessarily, it's not contrived, it's just for fun. But obviously audiences are, I encourage you to be playful in your practice and playful with the audience to play with them. But one of the ways that you will let an audience know it's appropriate to applaud is to bow your head when you say thank you. Yes? So if you say thank you very much and you do a little bow, we are programmed to then think, yes, the applause comes now. And if you're not sure because you think somebody might be asleep, it's okay to actually say thank you very much. And at the same time as you say thank you, you put your hands together and you make a little clap noise. So you say thank you very much. And hopefully half the audience, if they're not listening, they'll hear the clap and think the clap has started and will clap for you and begin the applause, and then everyone will follow suit. And that's how to orchestrate an applause, because you've worked jolly hard. And I do think that you deserve a bit of a round of applause for your efforts. So make sure you get one. There'll be bonus points for anybody that does that today. But be playful. That's all we're asking to do, is just to be playful, not take it so seriously. It's all for fun. Let's have lunch. Welcome back to the afternoon of day 2. And arguably, this is one of my favourite bits of the day, because we're going to be looking at body language and delivering with confidence. And I think over the years I've seen a lot of people teach presentations, and quite often people teach one piece of the puzzle. They'll teach the structure, or they'll teach accelerated learning, and they'll teach the audience interaction techniques, or they'll just work on confidence and body language. And I'm a big fan of all of it. I think it's when you get all of the pieces of the puzzle, eventually it makes more sense. It can be overwhelming to start with, but honestly, I've done so many over the years, these little pieces of the puzzle, that you end up with more confusion because you don't know where each of those pieces fits, which is why I've given you the comprehensive template for everything. So now what we're going to do, we do the first pass, which is getting the structure there, getting the content and the structure, kind of the bones of it there, what you want to say, what your message is, who you want to say it to, the why, the what, the how, the what if. Then we go back over it to bring it to life. So we say, right, this is the bones of it, but how do we make this more engaging? How do we tell our story so that it really touches hearts and minds? How do we add in some interaction, audience participation? How do we land it at the end so that our conclusion or our call to action is really obvious and everybody's ready at the edge of their seats to do it? That's the second pass. And then the third pass is the doing it. And it's okay that you have to practice loads and loads and loads, because that's a new skill that you're building. And I could sit here for 2 days and tell you how to skydive. I mean, I wouldn't, but I could sit and tell you how to skydive. But you would still expect there would be a bit of a learning process, because it's a physical skill. It's something that you have to learn how to do. And there'll be situations that arise that you don't get to implement on your first day, but maybe on your sort of 10th jump, a situation arises and you're like, oh yeah, gonna use that for my training. So it is a longer journey, but it's one that's worth taking. It is a lifelong journey, definitely one that's worth taking. I recommend taking one thing each time and working on it. So it might be taking your vocal skills on one session. Don't try and improve everything all at once. Think, right, I'm just going to get used to the structure first. Or I'm going to try and add in examples more when I'm talking. Or I'm going to try and turn the slides off and actually be the presenter. Well, that's scary. I'm going to try that. Just try one thing at a time. Today, we're going to try all of it, obviously, all at once. And that's fine, because we're here to practice and be playful and to push our comfort zones a little bit. And because you probably won't know what question you want to ask until you've tried it. So that's what we're going to do today. So this afternoon, we're going to be looking at delivery with confidence. And because confidence comes after the action, we know that, we are going to have to, at some point, probably fake more confidence that we have, just so that we can do it, and then get the confidence from that for the next one. All right, and that is fine. That is fine. Like I said, with watching the outdoor boys with Luke Nichols, watching him perform as if he had confidence was such a subtle shift when you could see that he actually had confidence. It was so subtle but lovely. but it was just about being more relaxed. Yeah, that was it. You could see, okay, he's trying to be confident there. He is confident there, but you probably wouldn't notice it unless you were looking for it, or if you had the contrast, if you had it side by side. So has everybody, I would imagine by now, everybody has seen this Albert Morabian graph or the diagram where we're looking at how much of each of the elements of our communication has an impact on the final message that we're sending to an audience or to another person. How much impact does body language have on the final message received by another human being when we're speaking?
57%.
Oh, who was that? Leslie, was that you? What did you say?
57%.
Great, we're gonna go with just around about 57, yeah. Anyone else? Are we happy with 57? Higher, lower?
90, 97.
It's
How much of
58.
how much of a percentage is body message revealed through body language?
Many people think this is how much of our communication is body language. The question is, how much impact does body language have on the message that we're conveying?
65%.
And then tone of voice. Where are we around tone of voice? If we reckon that one of them is about 50, between 50 and 60, where do we think voice tone? What impact does voice tone have on the message we're communicating?
85.
Lovely. Okay, and words? There's not much left after 60, 85.
7-ish.
Great, 7-ish. All right. So this is the classic diagram that you will see. Now there's people that contend this diagram as being not quite Morabian's point when he did this research. However, when you see it as a heuristic, so sort of a rule of thumb, you'll see that it makes total sense. Because if you close your eyes for me so that you can't, or actually you don't need to close your eyes, I will just go off screen. When I say this phrase, I just want you to notice the message you're receiving when you can't see my body language, okay? The protons and neutrons are at the center of the atom, okay? Versus the protons and neutrons are at the center of the atom. So without, excuse me, without body language, what did I say? What was my message the first time I spoke?
You're confident the first time, you were sure of your message, you're delivering a message. The second time is either a rhetorical question or definitely unsure, and there was some anxiety there.
Lovely. So when we've only got the voice, all you know is some words and then how I feel about them. So I either feel confident in what I'm saying or I'm unsure about what I'm saying. But the tone of voice gives you how I feel about what I'm saying. So think about it. What is the term given? What S is the term given to a way of speaking that ultimately tells the end user to take the opposite meaning to the one the phrase conveys?
Sarcasm?
Yeah, sarcasm. So when we use sarcasm, the only differentiating factor, if you couldn't see my face, would be the tone of voice. So literally, you can take words, which are just words, and say, take the opposite meaning of these words by just changing the voice tone. That's pretty cool, right? That we could do that with voice tone. The body language, this is the fun one. So I think most of you have probably seen this one already, but if you make the thumbs up sign for me, yeah. What does it mean if you're underwater?
Going up. Need to go up to the surface.
What does it mean anywhere else?
I'm good.
I'm good. And what does this mean if you're underwater?
I'm okay.
That's it. And it probably means that above the water as well. But this is usually very specifically we want to go up. So it means something different where we are. Now, take the thumbs up sign for me. Take your thumbs up. And then just move it to your left so I can see which one your left is. Yeah, okay. Some of you got mirrored screens. And to your right. That's it. And then go ahead and pop it on your chin for me. How many of you got it on your cheek?
God. My visual aid, I was copying you. Simon says, Jess says, put it on your chin. Yeah, put it on the cheek.
So this is where, if you put it on your cheek, you were deferring to my body language for the instructions, even though the words and my voice was a command to put it on your chin. So body language, so now when we look at those statistics, 55, 38 and 7, they look pretty reasonable now. Even if you might have been sceptical before, 55%. In NLP we say, look at somebody's behaviour to really understand what they are, behavior is kind of it's a truthful thing. It's much harder to hide when you're terrified than it is to say something different when you're terrified. Your body, it's harder to lie. It's not impossible, but it is harder to lie with your body. So therefore, human beings have adapted with their brains to be able to look at somebody's body language and defer to that as being the more truthful part of or more reliable part of communication. Now, we don't need to worry about necessarily what words we use or what voice tone or what body language, but they just all need to match up. They just need to all say the same thing. And I want you to just think, if you're sitting in an audience and you've got somebody who is on stage and they're really nervous and their voice is, and they're looking down at the floor and they're trying to tell you about something that is brilliant and that they want you to, there's some call to action they want you to do. It's really hard for us in the audience to separate out what they're talking about from how they're feeling. So we assume that, they're not very sure about what they're saying. They must not be very passionate about it. And actually, it's just that they're really scared of presenting. Yeah, it's not the thing that they're talking about at all. And so this is why it's really important for us to work on our confidence and overcome our nerves, because humans tend to communicate and transmit emotion to each other. And so you tend to feel what the communicator's feeling. So the reason that we don't want to watch somebody being nervous on stage is because it makes us feel nervous, because that's what they're connecting with us and then sharing. So the number one rule is, if you're enjoying yourself, that's a massive start, because your audience is going to struggle to enjoy themselves if you're not. If you're not feeling passionate about your message, it's going to be very hard for your audience to feel passionate about it. So if you start with you as being part of the message you want to convey and get yourself in the right state, everything then gets a little bit easier from there. Now, if you have nerves and a phobia or deep fears and things like that, of course, me telling you isn't going to help. And that's why in the app there's the techniques and things that you can start to use to overcome that. And the NLP techniques, they do work. So it doesn't have to be me that helps you, but there are techniques and tools to overcome all of those fears and phobias. And then the more the practice that you get, the more positive experiences that you have, the more your confidence builds. But that's why we don't want to watch somebody who's nervous, because it just makes us feel that feeling. All right. How many of you seen the warmth vs competence model? Have anybody seen this? This is amazing, especially if you like NLP. This is brilliant, because this is all about body language and meeting new people, and especially useful in presenting. So when we meet people, obviously we're reading people all the time, but the two main factors after, are they a friend or foe, is how warm they are and how competent we think they are. Yeah. How do you think we convey warmth?
Smile, genuineness, tactility, touching someone's hand.
Yeah. So on stage, it would just be
Smile,
smiling,
nodding.
There would be some open body language as well, gentle voice. Warmth comes across as you would typically expect: kindness, empathy, compassion, and so on. Open body language. So let's say if you come on stage and you're really nice, what would convey that you perhaps weren't very competent though in what you're doing?
The body language, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way they carry themselves.
Yeah.
The way they talk.
Just from a presentation, right? Think about podcasts that you've seen and heard. How does somebody come across as competent when you can't see them do it, right? You can listen to them, but you can't see them actually do the thing. Think about somebody that you know or you've heard or watched on TV, social media, who is competent but anything but warm, who is capable but not very friendly. I was just thinking of a person. Like, could you name somebody?
I think Gordon Ramsay often, we know he can cook. We know he's a great chef, but he's not everyone's cup of tea, is he?
So in the beginning, when he first came on, like onto the TV shows and things like that, he was utterly horrible, wasn't he? Like, he was so mean. He had no warmth about him whatsoever, but total competence. Like, we wouldn't doubt that he could, make a creme brulee, but we wouldn't necessarily want to have a conversation with him. So the competence is often in the body language, is in the sort of self-reliance, that sense of austerity, is that the word? But yeah, the seriousness, yeah. that's kind of often what conveys I know what I'm doing. So therefore, if you come on stage and you're warm and you're playful and okay and a little bit ditzy, like okay, cool, I suppose we should do some presenting. Let's do something. I'm conveying lots of warmth, so you feel I'm warm and friendly, but not necessarily competent. Even if I am competent, I'm not conveying it. So how do we don't want to be the expert and be cold though. So we don't want to say, okay, I'm not going to be playful at all because I just want people to take me seriously and know that I know what I'm talking about because I do. I'm going to be totally cold. I'm not going to smile. I'm going to let people know that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be totally serious. That would not be ideal. That would be, I wouldn't even say Gordon Ramsay's cold. I would say he's probably gone the other way.
It's too authoritative sometimes, too critical.
Now he's kind of mellowed.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
he shows the other side of himself where he goes into the
Goes
warm.
vulnerable, yeah.
He comes in expert and cold and then goes likeable and warm afterwards. What we're aiming for is both to be liked and admired for both having warmth and competence. So sometimes this is more about balance. If you know that you come on stage and you're almost apologetic and like, hi, like me, please like me. I'm not, I'm all right. You're going to lose a bit of your authority because you had to make people like you. And if you came on stage and you're all about right, let's get down to business, you're going to lose some of the likability because you were too serious and kind of competent. We want to hit that really amazing sweet spot. A guy called Jefferson Fisher has this absolutely down pat. He's a massive influencer, but he talks about communication. And he's so charming and then comes out with this gold, but he's not silly. And if you watch his early reels on social media, he is silly. He does do the kind of silly reels. You could see him trying out loads of different things and being silly, but it was losing him as a lawyer. It was losing his competence. So then he just went to sitting in his car giving people friendly advice before he went to work, and he just took off. So he had likability, but not at the expense of his competence, whereas at the beginning, he'd lost some of that authority to be likable and fun. And it wasn't what people wanted in a lawyer, obviously. So we have to fit that sweet spot. If you know your audience is not looking for entertainment, then that's fine. But they still want to be reassured that you know what you're doing. Somebody's microphone misbehaving. Who it is. So this is where we're going to walk the line between competence and confidence and warmth. Yeah. And we're going to do that with the body language. That's the point. So that's why we're looking at this. So that when we do the body language, you'll understand why we're having to practice using our body, which we arguably have done every day all of our lives.
Hi, Jess. Coming back to competence, I actually think, and I think you demonstrated it when you said, someone who lacks confidence will go on to the stage, and when they say, oh, hi, it's all meek and mild. I think it's not as much, I think voice and how you speak has a huge impact on conveying competence, and you've demonstrated that. I mean, I know you was talking about presence and how you strut into the room. I actually think that how you convey your voice, how you speak, is equally as important when you get onto the stage, because you can't always read someone's competence by the way they walk.
Oh, 100% you can't.
There's humble people out there who are incredibly competent. There's lots of humble people out there.
So this is such a great point. This is such a great point, because the whole thing we're saying is it's not right that people will judge your level of competence on how they first see you, but they will. And because of that, we just have to know, okay, do I come off a little bit on the warm side instead of the competent side? I have equal numbers of conversations with people that come off on the competent side and not enough on the warm side, where you have to say, okay, I know that you're a genius, but you have to smile. You have to try and make people feel relaxed around you because they're afraid of you. So you have to just help your audience to receive your message by making them comfortable. And sometimes it's to be more warm, and sometimes it's to be more competent. It's nothing to do with your actual level. People will find that out about you, but they may not get past the first hurdle because they've made up their mind. what do we know about first impressions? What do we know about first impressions?
They last.
They last. People will change their mind, but it will be slow. And we don't have that much time. We want to make sure that we go in, we kind of tell them what they need to know, and they don't get in their own way, because we've all got these sort of primal brains. They don't get in their own way of a message that they could really use. Yeah. Jay, what's your question?
So I've been told in the past that you either have to choose between being liked or respected.
Oh,
I know, controversial, hey. I actually think, why can't I have or be both? You know?
yeah. Or worshipped, if that's what you
Well,
want.
not worshipped, but you know, just the fact that, yeah,
That's what you
it was
like.
almost like a binary choice.
Yes. I think they're speaking more around boundaries, maybe. Because I think when you think about, I don't think those are two things, I don't think you have to choose between them. I think you can, just because we call it like admire, you know, I might not like someone who I respect, and I might not respect somebody that I like, although I think that's a bit of an odd scenario. But admiration tends to be the both combined, and we can totally admire people, right? So I don't think that you have to choose between the two ever. I don't think you have to. I think if you have boundaries and you respect yourself and somebody likes you, they will naturally respect you. Yeah, that's an interesting one though, isn't it? That you've been told that. I think that's good. All right, so we're just looking at body language, not the reality of who you are or anything else, but just the business that we're in of people making assumptions about you and helping your audience to get out of their own way about it. Any other questions? All right, so time for some little exercises now. All right, so this one is all about just finding your kind of presenter pose or stance, your groundedness. You can call it whatever you want, but you know, like lots of people call it like your power pose or something. But for me, it's just about anchoring in a really safe space for you when you're on your feet. So we're going to do some practice now about on your feet, because it conveys really nicely to sitting down once you've practiced it on your feet. So we want to think about 3 things that we can do to influence our internal state for when we're presenting, so that we come across as grounded, comfortable, relaxed, confident, and warm. These 3 things are what we're thinking about, what we're saying to ourselves, and obviously our body language, what we're doing with our body. Okay? Now, each of these elements affects the other one. If you stand up for me, okay, and what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that if you close your eyes, and I want you to imagine, so visually thinking about, imagine if you were a tree and your feet are kind of shoulder width apart, but find a space that feels comfortable. For some of you, that will be feet slightly wider apart. For some of you, it'll be feet together. Find a space where your body just fits on top of each other, right? It just feels comfortable. And imagine that from there, your center of gravity gets lower and lower and lower until you have roots growing into the ground, almost harnessing you to the earth. So that you're this wonderful tree-like being with these roots that stretch far, far down into the earth. And the lower that you imagine your center of gravity to be, the more stable that you become. And imagine that I'm next to you and I'm just kind of gently pushing on your shoulder slightly. And just notice how you, just by putting your attention lower down, you can feel more stable. So just feel really strong in that pose, not tense. Just feel really strong by putting your attention low down towards the earth, and feel really, really strong as you do that. So by focusing on being a tree or something, whatever works for you, you can just feel that groundedness, okay? And then I'd love you to put your finger on your sternum, and then I want you to imagine, how would you stand if you were really shy? Yeah, so if you were really shy and you lost that tree pose and you went into kind of shy, most of you shoulders would be like leaning forward, collapsed inwards, maybe weight on one leg, not 2. You could feel all of that goes away. You're off center, you've lost it. The confidence. Now stand how you would stand when you're the tree and you're super confident. Okay. Notice balance comes back. You're standing on, equally on both feet. Your chest opens. Everything feels different. Now this time, I'm going to get you to go from shy to super confident, back to shy, back to super confident, and I want you to notice what happens to your sternum. your finger is on your sternum, so it's going to trace a little line, and I want you to tell me what that line does. So shy first, back into shy, back into super confident, back into shy, back into super confident. Great, one more time shy, one more time super confident. All right, and notice that it's literally a couple of centimeters difference, like a little arc that you draw on your sternum. Yeah, so 2 centimeters is all we're talking about. So if you can think about that sternum being a beam of light that's transmitting out into your audience. This is now, make yourself the tree again. You've got roots growing down into the earth. And then just imagine this beautiful light shining out from your heart center, your chest, your sternum, out into your audience and encapsulating everyone in front of you and just loving them, knowing that you're there to serve them. Okay. The next thing, so now we've got a sense that our sternum is involved. Notice if I said, okay, how would somebody who's arrogant stand? What's the posture of somebody who's arrogant? What do you have to do? Because people worry about being confident and then being seen as arrogant. Yeah, they are not the same. Arrogance is when you're looking down your nose at somebody and the chin goes up, right? So the chin is like, you know, I'm not really interested in what you have to say. I'm not open to your feedback. I'm not interested. And you're kind of looking down your nose. Feel arrogance had a little bit of contempt in there as well. So like a sneer. Okay. But it's, I'm not open to your information. Confidence has absolutely nothing to do with arrogance. So to rest assured. Okay. So now we're standing like this, which is great. We're confident, we're not arrogant, we're tree-like, loving our audience. Now we need to move, because at some point we're going to have to move and then we're going to lose it, aren't we? We're going to lose all of it. So I want you to practice walking around your office space, wherever you are, living room, whatever it is. And I want you to notice that you can keep it just with your body language. But to help you, I want you to say something in your mind as you're walking so that you can find a moving version of this confidence. Now, I'm going to give you some funny phrases. Try them on, see if they work. If they don't, you choose your own. One is, I'm going to drive this body like I stole it. That one's quite funny. And just notice how you move when you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to drive this body like I stole it. Or when you think, yes, I am amazing. Yes, I am. Or I love everyone and everyone loves me. Or I am a sexy beast. Or yes, I am. Notice how that one feels as you're walking. Where do you feel that one in your body? I could be playful. I love being playful. People like to play with me. You choose the phrase that helps you maintain that confidence as you're moving around. And then when you're ready, I want you to imagine that you're walking up to the front of the room with that level of playfulness, confidence, joy, love. And I want you to take 2 steps, 1, 2, and ground yourself on tree. So when you're ready, come back up to the camera. 1 step, 2 step, ground yourself, tree. Okay. And normally, in an in-person course, we would be doing this around a boardroom and you'd have to walk up to the front, 1 step, 2 step, tree, and then speak. So I just want you to imagine that that's what you're doing. Imagine walking up, it's your turn to speak, you're walking up, 1, 2, tree is the grounding, and you pause and then you speak. Okay, always pause, take a breath, look around the room, and then start speaking. The worst thing you do is being like, okay, it's my turn, okay, right, sorry everybody, okay, I'm ready, okay. Because that, again, conveys non-competence. Take a seat and bring that confidence with you. From the waist up is fine. You can still be a tree from the waist up, okay? So however you move, however you physical, you might have pain in your body, you might have limitations, finding your lovely sort of confident feeling in your body, what you have to think about, what you have to say to yourself, until you find it, until you can be relaxed in your own skin, okay? And then take your time rather than rush. Okay? We will wait for you, all right? How many of you found the phrase that you like and feel daring enough to put it into the chat for me?
I have a question. When we are in the tree position, when how do we position our hands?
Perfect question. You don't. You just leave them slide about like branches. You don't need to do anything with them yet. Okay, so we're going to look at arms because great question. What the hell do these things do at the end of my arms? They've been sitting there my whole life and now they just feel like appendages that I don't know what to do with. Yeah, absolutely. So right now we don't do anything with them. Just be comfortable. Okay, and then I'll show you why in a second. Because they're going to be a really amazing tool, but they can also work against you. So we are going to need to get them under some sort of control. Okay, we are going to need to harness their energy. Any other questions, sorry, on the state management? Did everybody enjoy that? Was that a nice feeling? All right, so 1, 2, tree. That's how you remember. So 1, 2, tree, and deliver your amazing presentation. Here's how. Here's the fun bit. This is where you're going to take all movement away first. So when people say like, "Oh, what do I do with my arms? What do I do this? Is this okay? Shall I do this? Is it okay? What is this okay?" Like, the answer is take it away and don't use it to start with, and practice speaking without any movement. Okay, and then add it back in later. So I'm going to demonstrate it for you. So I'm going to put my camera up there and demonstrate for you how to do this because it is quite hilarious. And then we're going to do some gestures and then we're going to put it all back together again. Hopefully, a little bit of me. Can everybody see me? Okay, you're down there on my screen, so I'm just seeing if you're nodding. Okay, so I'm going to take away all movement. And again, hands just literally flopping by the side. I'm going to do my 1, 2, tree. And then if you're going to play with this game with somebody else, you have to say if they're moving. So if somebody, for example, is swaying, you say, "Oh, you're swaying," and they have to go, oh, okay. And if I am twitching my hands as I'm talking, you would say, obviously you can't see my hands, but you would say, "Hands," and I would be like, oh, okay, and take everything away. If I'm from side to side, if I'm shrugging with my shoulders, you shout out what you see. Oh, okay. Because we want to take all of that unconscious movement away, because all of that unconscious movement is saying something and it might not necessarily be the message we're actually trying to convey. Okay, so what you're going to do is stand there, yeah, nothing, no movement, and you're just going to tell a story. Okay, and I'm going to tell a story. It doesn't particularly have any interesting aspects to it. It was literally the most boring story in the world, which is the story of my cheese sandwich that I made at lunchtime. And I went out into the kitchen, and I have to essentially kind of be a little bit like a spy. I have to creep out so that my daughter doesn't see me, because otherwise I'm never coming back in. She won't let me. So I went in and I found some cheese. And I found some bread and I made a cheese sandwich, and then I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm going to have some pickle with that because I like pickle. So I got the pickle out of the fridge and I made my sandwich and I cut it in half, and then I snuck back into the office. And of course, I locked the door because we have to lock the door now because she's a ninja and she tried to break the door down the last time. So she's only 3, but she's feisty. And then I ate my sandwich. The end. Okay? Impressed? Beautiful, amazing story. So now, yeah, that I didn't move, did I? I didn't move any of my. Yeah,
Only your face.
Yes, your head moved quite a lot. Are we not trying to avoid that?
You're allowed the head.
You're allowed the head. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm going to let you have that. Yeah. And obviously I've done this lots of times, so I know that my arms didn't move. And I know that it's a really great way of being aware of yourself if you haven't done this before. So the next thing that you're going to do is some gestures. So I invite you to do these gestures with me. So you might want to stand up or you can sit down, it's fine. The first one is called the placator. Yeah, can everybody see that? So it's arms, palms up, the placator. Yeah. And it could be arms out wide. Could be the arms out wide. But it's ultimately palms up. What am I saying to the audience when I've got my palms up like that and out? Open body language. What am I saying?
I'm open.
I'm open, yeah.
Welcoming.
I accept
Welcome,
everything you say.
yes.
Welcome,
This
accept
is
me.
this is the warmth that we talked about, right? This is the hello, I'm not threatening. You can see my palms. I'm here. I'm open to what you think. Really warm. Okay. That's called the placator. So let's think of the phrase that we could use with that, like
Acceptor.
well, I'm just thinking of a phrase like that you would be saying to your audience. So come with me. Come with
Yeah,
me.
join me. Yeah, join me.
Join
Come
me.
in. Come in, join me into the room.
Now, if you know that you do that too much, the easiest way to stop it is just to turn those palms over and look what happens immediately.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this would be lower, so this would be more sort of down, down here, but I'm not tall enough. If you immediately just turn those palms over, imagine if I'm doing a negotiation with you and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's my final offer versus that's my final offer. You feel it?
It's dogmatic.
It's absolutely, we call it the leveler, and it's absolutely, that's how it is. And it puts kind of a full stop on it. So just turn those hands over if you want to be utterly clear about something. And if you want to, this is the point I want to make here. Put those hands down, those palms down. Yeah, that's how it is. Everybody got that? Do it with me. That's how it is.
That's
That's how it is. It's final. That's how it is.
Okay, join me. Join me.
Join me.
That's how it is.
That's how it is.
That's how it is. Okay. The next one is, let me think about this one. The next one is a wonderful gesture. You can add some movement into this one because what am I conveying with this one?
I'm not sure. I'm thinking about it. I'm open to suggestions, maybe.
I'm considering your point.
Yes.
But I'm not absolutely sure of everything you've said, so I'm thinking about it still.
I'm thinking, yeah. So let's all think about that. Yeah.
Taking points. I'm taking your points on board. I normally do that one. It's like I touch my head. I'm taking your points on board to let them know I'm thinking about it. Really, I've made a decision, but
so we're all in thinking mode. Yeah, we're all in thinking mode. And that's how you'll get your audience to understand that we're thinking about that right now. We're just thinking about that. Let's think about that. So that's your let's think about that. Okay, so everybody do that. Let's think about that. Yeah. That is called super reasonable for those of you that need the professional terms. The next one is what we call the blamer. Now this one's really important.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing I need you to take away from today, it is this. Okay? Then it's up to you and you alone. Okay? So the blamer is you could do it this way. So you could do it with you've got to do it like this. You have got to stand up for yourself, right? You've got to do whatever it is that you've got to do. But that's where that one hand or two, it's the kind of come with me, it's up to you, it's up to you. Everybody do that? It's up to you. And you can do versions of that. So it doesn't have to be aggressive or anything. It's just be like, if there's one thing, it's a kind of chopping motion. Okay. So that's your blamer. And it helps if you look directly at your audience when you're doing the blamer. And then the last one, the last one's called the distractor. And this is just like anything, I caught a fish and it was this big. It's anything that you do that's just kind of sort of explosive, and it's showing people a dramatized version of what it is that you're saying. So if you just love pancakes, then do the action for loving pancakes. That's the distractor, and it's very not competent, huge warmth. So if you want to lose some competence because you're just too competent, that's one of the ones that I would suggest that you use. And then what you do, so this is the full exercise. You're going to do the standing still, okay? Tell the incredibly fascinating story that you've got about your cheese sandwich or any other type of lunch, and then put the gestures back in. Only your partner is going to tell you what gestures to use. Okay, so I'm going to tell the story again, and then you shout out what gestures you want me to put in of those ones. If you've got the manual in front of you, then cheat. Use the manual so that you don't have to remember. All right, so what's the first one you want me to use?
Blamer.
I'll tell you what I did at lunchtime. I got a cheese sandwich, is what happened to me. Right, and then shout out when you want me to change.
Distraction.
I love me a cheese sandwich, and I love me some pickle. And when I say I love pickle, I'm obsessed with pickle. I do love it. I mean, I have more pickle than cheese. The pickle is just, the cheese is just a vehicle for the cheese. And the way to make the perfect cheese and pickle sandwich, there is only one way. The way to make a cheese and pickle sandwich is you have to put pickle on first, because you have to know how much pickle you're dealing with. Next one.
Placator.
The what?
Placator.
Placator. Now, you know, I mean, I like pickle as much as the next person, but you know, I haven't got long at lunch, so I have to throw the pickle on, get the cheese on there, put it up, get back into the office before my daughter sees me, because if she catches me, I'm not going to be able to get back to work, because she will insist that I go play, and I won't be able to get back in the office anymore. Have we done them all?
Thinking.
Super reasonable. I think you've done super reasonable.
What I need to do is I need to come up with a strategy that's better for getting back into the office, because I honestly don't know how I'm going to, you know, if this continues, how I'm actually going to, you know, get food, get a coffee, get a drink, because she's out there, and she'll find me. But how am I gonna do that? I don't know. I could probably use some suggestions. Yeah, you get the idea.
Yeah.
What happened to the story when you gave me the gestures?
Changed it.
Your tone of voice changed with the movements.
The whole story, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was like the whole point is we think the words are everything, and we think the choice of words is static, and our body language just hangs off it. It's completely the other way around. Your choice of words comes from the state that you're in, comes from the feelings that you're having. Yeah, because remember that state triangle? If my body language is doing one thing, it's really hard for my brain to think any other way. So this is why, if you know you do too much of this, turn it over. You'll come across as much more authoritative straight away. If you're doing too much of this, turn it over. If I said to you, are there any questions? Would you think I'm asking for questions?
No, you don't want there to be questions. You don't want there to be questions. Like, are there any questions?
You're inviting questions, aren't you?
I'm inviting them. Yes, I think so.
Are there any
If
questions?
I do, if you imagine I'm not there,
Right,
are there
just-
any questions? Are there any questions?
You're being warm and open about people want to ask questions, they can, but are there any questions you're not even sure? You don't want people. I don't know.
So if I ask questions, I genuinely want questions. Open hands, outstretched. Are there any questions? Bring you in.
Yeah. Okay.
If I really
Are there any questions? Oh yes.
Are there
Yeah,
any
open
questions?
answers. I can see it now. Yeah. Thank you.
Subconsciously, if they know. So that's why when you say, are there any final questions, you might want to do, are there any final questions before I conclude? Yeah, it matters. And the first step is to strip away the extraneous information. And the second thing is to put it back in a way that is intentional, not so that you can become a robot, yeah, but so that you're aware of it, yeah, so that you're aware of what your body tends to do. All right, I'm just conscious of time, so I don't think we're going to have time to go into the rooms and do that exercise. But can you make a commitment to do that exercise with somebody that you know? Because it is hilarious to watch how their story changes when you give them different gestures. Okay, so there's all the different gestures. These are just archetypes of gesture. Okay, so we've added it back in. The no-nos. Let's think about the no-nos, actually. What do some of you worry about in terms of the body language? What do some of you worry about? Like, is it okay for me to put my hands in my pockets? Is it okay for me to pace up and down? Is it okay for me to, right? How many of you got kind of questions, is it okay? Should I do this, not do this? Rosina, was that a question?
Mine is more the size of the movement, because if I get quite passionate, then it can, I would say it probably comes more like a distractor then, rather than helping with the message. They just do what they do.
Perfect. So this is a really good, so when you strip it out first, and in fact, I will share with you this video because people don't believe me that it is perfectly okay not to use any body language and you'll still convey an amazing message, because I think this is worth watching. Okay, so I'm going to show you a video because I think this will answer your question. All right, so I want you to notice the body language in these two as they're having an absolute humdinger of a fight. I mean, not a physical fight.
Do you mean to tell me that my children have been roaming about Salzburg dressed up in nothing but some old drapes?
Mm-hmm. And having a marvellous time.
They have uniforms.
Straitjackets, if you'll forgive me.
I will not forgive you for that.
Children cannot do all the things they're supposed to do if they have to worry about spoiling their precious clothes. Yet. Well, they wouldn't dare. They love you too much. They fear you too much.
I don't wish you to discuss my children in this manner.
Well, you've got to hear from someone. You're never home long enough to know them.
I don't want to hear any more from you about my children.
I know you don't, but you've got to. Now, take Liesel.
You will not say one word about
child anymore.
Liesel,
One of these days you're going to wake up and find she's a woman. You won't even know her. And Friedrich, he's a boy, but he wants to be a man like you, and there's no one to show.
You dare tell me about my son.
Brigitte could tell you about him if you'd let her get close to you. She notices, and Kurt pretends he's tough, not to show how hurt he is when you brush him aside.
That'll do.
The way you do all of them. Louisa, I don't know about yet, but someone has to find out about her, and the little ones just want to be loved. Please, Captain, love them all.
I don't care to hear anything further from you about my children.
I'm not finished yet,
Oh,
Captain.
yes, you are, Captain. Now, you will pack your things this minute and return to the Abbey.
It's very dramatic, but you saw literally she did not move her arms the whole time. Nobody believes me when I say that it's okay to stand and not move your arms when you're talking. Like, it just focuses people's attention on your face. That's all. Yeah, most presenters do it on TV because it's really hard to get continuity. If you did this in one of the parts of the interview and then you did that in another part, it's really hard to match it up. So it's better not to use them, right, for continuity. So, yeah, so it's okay, Rosina, to take away all the motion and practice delivering the emotion that you want to convey. And you might notice as you do that, what's the block that makes your body want to do the talking for you. And it could be, I just want people to know how great this is, or I can't explain it, I have to show you, or it will probably become really apparent what's going on there. And then you can say, actually, well, is it that I want to use my body? Because actually it's okay to use my body. Or do I just need to focus in and be more dramatic, but with my face and with my tone? Because I might be able to draw people in if I just do it with my face. And this is just to be playful, try different things. But yeah, I'm sure it's fine, whatever you're doing, especially if you're passionate. But trying different things and seeing what people say is work better, yeah, or what feels better, yeah. Lovely. All right, any questions?
Even when you leave the hands down, again, there's like a tendency to either clench it or
And that again, yeah, that kind of just like this is the little motions, those ones, yeah. The self-soothing is the big. It's not even a no-no. There is no no-nos. There's just consequences. So think. Is that the message I want to convey? So if you've got somebody with their hands in their pockets, it's not a no-no, but it looks super cash, and you have to be quite superior in the room, like, quite high status to get away with it. Is it okay to stand with your hands behind your back? Yeah, but it looks like you're standing to attention, waiting for instructions, so it might not be what you want to convey. So there's no definite no's. There's just, what are you conveying, and is that what you want to convey? Because that is what you're conveying. So the little movements is, who cares, right? Do you know what I mean? It's fine if the little movements, but it might just all be a little bit of a message that you're not very comfortable, and it might be a self-soothing thing. And any self-touching, where you're kind of, thinking, or we call it self-soothing, and generally speaking, we probably wouldn't want to convey that we're feeling uncomfortable and want to soothe ourselves. But if you do it, it's not the end of the world. Just notice that you're doing it and then try to iron it out a little bit. The good rule of thumb is it's generally not a good idea to touch yourself in front of other people, and so therefore try to keep them to a minimum. Yeah, but ers and ums, I mean, people get so obsessed with with perfection, and actually that's not what makes a great talk. What makes a great talk is the heart, is the resonance, it being relatable, it being about the audience, not about the presenter. And so I will say to somebody, practice not doing ers and ums. Such good practice. But what you'll find is that you'll calm down. Right? So if you can't say or and you have to leave a pause, you can breathe in that space, and therefore you'll relax. So is it okay to and um? Yeah, of course. Is it okay to put your hands in your pocket? Yeah, of course. It's okay to do all of it. Try not doing it and see what happens. With ers and ums, it does force you to relax and leave a space.
Jess, can I just ask, sorry, what's your thoughts about walking on while you're giving a presentation, walking backwards and across and then back again? Is that distracting or?
So if you're pacing up and down, movement technically should be intentional. If you're relaxed enough, the movement will be intentional because you're not going to say anything that you're not saying, if that makes sense. So pacing up and down can be very hypnotic, especially if it's rhythmical, which again, may be what you want. It may not be. It can be distracting for some people. I tend to think it's distracting for people if you're doing it because you're nervous. If you're doing it because you want to connect with that side of the audience and then you want to connect with that side of the audience, that's fine. When you get onto the advanced stage craft, the stage skills, we tend to pick a side of the stage to be the past, pick a stage to be the future, pick a side of the stage to be the future, and then you stand in the present. And then if you want to refer back to something that's just happened, you can refer to the past. And if you want to talk about something that's coming, you can talk about the future. If you want to have a problem corner, when you talk to somebody who's got problems, you can stand in the corner that you designated to be the problem part of the stage. And then you can create a resource part of the stage where you talk about positive things and solutions and techniques and positive thoughts and so on. And then when you're talking to the person who's got a problem, you can slowly start walking across the stage towards your solution corner and naturally give them a little bit of a chaining anchors experience. So there's so many things that you could be intentionally doing to serve your audience. But if you're pacing up and down, just think, why am I pacing? Is it because I'm nervous, in which case I will be conveying that to my audience? Is that what I want? And strip it out and see how you feel. And if when you then start your presentation again and you're not doing it, the chances are is you didn't need to do it. Does that make sense to everybody?
This afternoon's presentation.
Breaking the habit, yeah, just give yourself some grace first of all, and remember what I said. You've got so much to think about from the last couple of days. Pick one thing to focus on today, and that might just be the structure. Like, I want to get a bit of help with my story. Don't worry about all of it today. So these are just things that I'm telling you because you're going to have the recording. You can come back to these. You can come back to all of these bits of information. So it's not about necessarily what you need to do today. Just pick one thing to work on today that you'll be happy you did. But yeah, I would suggest if you wanted to stop doing it, it would have to just be with intention. So practice telling a 2-minute story when you're with your friends, or speaking to somebody, and then just really pay attention not do. Yeah, and give yourself grace if you do, but just practice not doing it intentionally. Bring it into your conscious awareness, and then the more you do that, the more aware that you are that you're not doing it anymore. Yeah, that's what I would do with all the body language, idiosyncratic things that we do. All right, I'm going to race through these because I want you to get some time to kind of go through your rehearsals and get some help with your presentations. I will put the exercise in the Facebook group for you and in the recording, but ultimately your voice conveys emotion. You're just going to practice at some point. If you've got kids, it's super easy because you just grab, I've got a little PDF of the Mr. Men books. I've got Mr. Worry, this one's Mr. Strong, my kids love these. And ultimately you just practice talking, like vocal exercises where you take the pitch as high as you can go and tell the story at a really high pitch, just to push your comfort zone. So that when you come back to normal, you've kind of expanded your vocal variation a bit. Talk as quickly as you can. So Mr. Strong, the strongest person in the whole world. Talk really fast. And then enunciate. So this is the story of Mr. Strong. And practice enunciating all of your words, because you don't know where you are in the spectrum of mumbling and to enunciating. Projection. Practice with somebody across the other side of the room where you don't necessarily shout, but you just throw your voice and see where it comes from in your body when you just speak and throw your voice further, not necessarily louder. Then put in a pause as you're reading and see how comfortable you can feel. And then go as low as you can. So pace down, low voice, mumble, 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 mumble. And then no pauses. And those are just some vocal exercises. There are obviously a ton, and any that I get, I'll put in the Facebook group so that you can practice one at a time. Fairly straightforward. Yeah, no brainers. Okay, we're all going to do this together. The silent scream. All right. Now, you can do this sat down waiting for your turn to speak. This is one of the best ones that you can do because you don't need to run away into the toilets to do this, but I recommend you do. This is for when you get some nerves. Ultimately, remember what fight or flight is. It's trying to tell you that you need to run away or fight something or hide very still. The cortisol and everything running around your body can't get out of your body unless you run away, fight something, or hide. Since neither of those options are available to you when you're about to present, we have to do something with that cortisol. And one of the things that you could do is the silent scream. And all I want you to do is where you're sitting is clench your bum muscles. Yeah, so clench your butt cheeks, and then go down your legs, clenching hamstrings, quads, calf muscles, and then even your toes and your feet, and then go up your body. So lower back, tummy, chest, back, arms, fists. And then I want you to imagine you could do a silent scream. So don't actually scream, but ultimately you're tensing all the muscles in your face. Yeah. And hold that. That's it. For a few seconds, and then relax your body. Now, if you're in the toilet, this is the version that you would do. So in case any of you've got terrible pelvic floors, maybe do this on the toilet. Do it a few times. So imagine now that you're like, okay, I'm going to do my back. Then what else have I missed? What other muscles have I missed? Get them all. And you'll get that lovely feeling in your body. If you are sitting around the boardroom and you haven't got a chance to run away and do this, then you're going to do everything else but. So you're going to do the butt cheeks, look like you're, stretching it out. You're actually tensing it. Hands, yeah. And then if you want to, you can pretend to pick something up off the floor and do the scream, do the like a yawn or a scream or something. It depends how bad it is, obviously, if you're desperate. But that's one of the ways, just to tell your body to metabolize that cortisol out of your system. And the yawn is a really good sign that your parasympathetic is back in charge, okay? That it's regulated again. That makes sense? So these are the kind of last minute things that you can do if you're a little bit worried. And definitely don't scream for reals. It might help, but it probably won't help your presentation. So those are some really fantastic suggestions. Any questions on anything else physical? Obviously, the first few minutes is the worst. Yeah. What are your recommendations for the first few minutes of your presentation? Get over those nerves. What do you guys do?
Icebreaker, introduce yourself in a small joke.
Lovely. So I thoroughly recommend, whatever it is, whether it's an icebreaker or a joke or something else, you rehearse it, you memorize it. Literally get that opening gambit memorized. Even if you've got a whole day's training, you don't have to memorize that. But memorize that first opener and go straight into something that takes the pressure off you. So an icebreaker is perfect if it's a training. If it's a presentation, just memorize that first few minutes. And I don't just mean, memorize it before you go on. I mean, memorize it so that it's in the muscle. So even if you're a little bit nervous, you won't forget it. Have it written out word for word. If you get stuck and you could go and you're like, oh no, my mind's gone blank. If it's written out, just look down, pause, get your notes, take your time, don't say a word as you're doing it, check your notes, find your place, and then carry on. They will wait for you. They won't think anything of it. They'll think it's all part of it. All right. So it is time for a very short station. So what I'm going to do is I'm really aware of your time. I don't want to roll over. But remember, if you are coming to speaking club, please, we will practice it there. What I would love you to do is we could just do it in pairs. Would you like to do it in pairs? And that way you're just delivering it to one person, and then it's super, super easy. If you haven't got anything to deliver, remember you've got the option of the practice one just to read, so that you can get it in the muscle. You've got the option of just having somebody help you with it if you're still stuck on it, or you can have a go and tell your personal story and get some feedback from the other person. And that feedback has to be positive. Yeah. It has to be supportive and encouraging and about the forward, about the next time. Not necessarily about what you didn't like or how many ums and ahs they did, because that's not helpful. All right. Everybody up for that?
Yeah, Jess, I have a quick question. Are we able to share our screens? I like to have a little presentation that I can refer to keep me on track.
I think you can share your screens, I'm pretty sure.
In their rooms, can we? Or
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
So, welcome back. Obviously, there's always more time needed for all of this kind of practice. Was it helpful at least having a person to present to? Even if you didn't get it the way you wanted it, even if it was, you cut up halfway through, but you having a real life person there, it just helps to, I think it's a bit like the scene in Castaway, where, Tom Hanks is trying to make a fire and he ends up, throwing the volleyball and making a handprint on the volleyball and making himself a friend. And then when he's trying to make the fire, he's looking over at the handprint, and it looks like a face. And he starts talking to the volleyball with the face on it. It's called Wilson. And he starts talking, like looking to it. And that's when he starts having creative ideas about how to make the fire. And that's when he succeeds. And I always use that as an example of how a team is greater than the individual parts, and something magical happens when you're spurring ideas off each other and you're getting feedback. It is just so wonderful. So I'm really glad that you had the confidence to at least go in the breakout rooms this weekend and practice some things that might be new to you. It is always a bit nerve-wracking coming to a group where you don't necessarily know people, and then doing the breakout rooms as well, instead of just opting out. So I think it's really important that you give yourself a huge pat on the back for spending a weekend on this. Massive pat on the back. You spent a weekend on this. There is no way that you can commit a weekend to something that then doesn't benefit you in some way. You clearly are committed to your growth, your development, and I think really I want to acknowledge that, because 300 people signed up for this weekend. 300 people. And I think the reason I always tell people how many people signed up is because I want you to know how special you are. Because 300 people decided that they wanted the skills, they wanted to learn. Now, obviously, there would have been a portion of people who couldn't make the dates, and I know that there are people that just literally couldn't make the dates, even though they wanted to. But of those people that could make the dates, only some of those people did. Yeah. So I just want you to remember that when you show up to things, it takes more than just having committed the time, and you've done that, and that must get rewarded. It always gets rewarded, I think. In terms of manifestation, telling the universe, I'm committed to this, I want this, I'm ready for this, showing up and using up your free time to commit to something, I think is a really great way of telling the universe that you're ready for great things. So I absolutely am sure that you will be rewarded for your commitment. And I just want to point out that commitment to you so that you know how unique you are in a pool of many, many people who wanted the skills but weren't necessarily able or capable to commit to that full weekend. So well done. And obviously I've had a lovely time, so thank you as well from me. I just want to share a couple of things before we finish to make sure that we've gone full circle. Please, please, please come to Speaker Club. You can see the difference it makes when you've got somebody there. And we've got so much more time, rather than necessarily learning new skills, to be practicing the skills that we've looked at this weekend. So I just want you to come to it. It's free. I've made it free so that there's no friction there. It's obviously just the time. Please come at least to one of them. You don't have to come to all of them, but just get some of that practice in. This is the most important skill that I think you could develop, really. Your voice, you're so special, all of you. You've got this amazing energy about you that I've spent the weekend with, so I know it's amazing. And I want you to share that with as many people as possible. If this isn't right for everybody, so I'm going to talk about it for the people that it is right for. It is not right for everybody, and this is not something that I think everybody should do. But there is a transformational speaker course starting, 3 virtual sessions online starting the 20th of May. And then there's the in-person 2-day event in June, 13th and 14th of June. Now, we've got a few people here that are already coming along to that. And this is where, if you are ready to be a key person of influence in your industry, in your niche, whatever that niche is, doesn't have to be coaching, if you're ready to be that key person of influence, where it's like literally you've just got a message and you want to get out there and share it. You don't have to have had 20 years industry experience. You could have no industry experience. The idea is that you have a mission that you want to achieve and that you want to get out there and speak, that you want to get out there and be in front of people in some way, to share a message, to achieve your goals. If you want to be a £200,000 paid speaker like Mel Robbins, great, let's do it. If you just want to be able to deliver a fantastic message at your local BNI, that's great. The key element here is that you're ready to be that key person of influence, and you just need help feeling, getting out of the self-doubt. Who am I? Who am I to do that? I want to do it, but who am I? And you need somebody who believes in you to encourage you. I think anyone who's done my Master Prac course, for example, should have a TEDx talk. Like, it's just something that you should be doing. I think that is a given. So if you have done my Master Prac, I already think that you should do a TEDx. And if you're not sure, book a call with me and we'll talk about it. You don't have to do the course. I'm still going to encourage you to do it. But if you do want to do the course, I'm going to help you develop your message, your voice, your style, and help you work with audiences and feel more professional. If you haven't already done it professionally and been paid, then let's get you to a place where you feel like that's just who you are. All right, that's what that course is about. Rather than be banging on about it here, if you think that that's you, you can apply and just ask me and we'll set up a call, we'll talk about it. I am not going to talk you into it if it's not for you. I promise you. I only want people who I can help and who are ready for my help. All right, so if you're not sure, let me know, we can have a chat about it. Payment plans are available. So I think it's roughly about £100 a month, say. So if that's affordable, great. If it's not affordable, then wait and do it when it is affordable. Okay, so that's the passion. My passion project is that I can't wait for this course. It's going to be so exciting. Please talk to me about it if you're interested. I'm just going to sum up, and then if there's any final questions, I'll take them. But I just want to make sure that we put a kind of full stop on today. And obviously you might want to find out what happens to Scheherazade as well, for those of you that need closure. So hopefully over the last 2 days, you've managed to kind of not necessarily reach overwhelm, but you've at least seen, gosh, there's so much more to it than I realised maybe. But now that you have it, like you have the stuff in front of you, you've got the workbook, which is comprehensive, planning and creating your presentation, you've got a foolproof structure, a foolproof template, you've got some examples for that template, so AI can help you with your own speeches using that template. And hopefully now you've literally kind of got a comprehensive step-by-step formula that will help you design any type of presentation in the future. I also hope you see that there's so much creativity that you can have in adding some engagement and psychological impact into your courses. And really, the world is your oyster here. The limit is your imagination. That's it, in terms of creating your version of presentations, your personal style, your authenticity, playing with your audience, entertaining them, engaging them to your heart's content. This is the bit for me which is just the joyful piece. So hopefully you've got some really lovely ideas and permission to start adding that in. And then from this afternoon, you can see that there are some really just simple exercises to start grounding yourself, feeling that you have more authority, that you have some exercises that you can now do that will start honing your sort of physical performance. And on top of all of that, amongst all of that, I really hope that you've received the message from me that the world needs great speakers. They don't need polished speakers. They don't need slick presenters. What they need is passionate, compassionate, enthusiastic speakers with a wonderful message and a big heart and a desire to serve people with that message. That's what we need. And if that's you, I really hope that I've given you a massive step up on your journey towards becoming that type of speaker that you want to be. So with that said, are there any final questions before I tell you what happened to poor Scheherazade? Any final questions? All right, so let's find out what happened to her then. All right, so there she was at the party. Everybody remember, there she was at the party. How was she going to get out of this now? She found herself twisting and touching the necklace around her neck, which suddenly reminded her of her father, who'd given her the necklace for her 10th birthday. She remembered the way that he used to pick her up and carry her on his shoulders and how safe she would feel in his arms. And she remembered, and as she remembered this, she noticed that she was starting to calm down and breathe more slowly and relax. And as she did that, she began to remember all the stories that her father used to tell her every night before she went to sleep. Stories of adventure, of intriguing characters, tales with morals and lessons about life woven through them. And suddenly, she had an amazing idea. And as the king complimented her work, she explained that her inspiration had come from a story she'd heard as a child. A story of a magnificent king, beloved by all his subjects. She continued the story as they walked into the palace gardens and sat down in a beautiful courtyard lit by candles and steeped in jasmine. Before the story ended, the king had fallen asleep and she crept away back to her room. The next day, her execution was delayed yet again so she could finish the story. But as soon as she'd finished one, she started another so quickly that the king continued to come back night after night to listen to the end of the stories. At the end of 1001 Nights, the king had fallen madly in love with her. They'd had a child, and he changed his mind about the execution. So storytelling might just save your life one day, you never know. And on that note, thank you so much, everybody, and have a wonderful Sunday. I'll send through everything that you need on the Facebook group and the Eventbrite, so you don't need to do anything now other than kisses, and I will see you again soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jess.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.